Good evening and welcome to Wild and Holy, an evening with Sherry Cothran. My name is Sonia and I'm the director here at the West Tennessee Delta Heritage Center in Brownsville. We are so excited to be able to present this musical journey showcasing women of the Bible. For those who are not familiar with Sherry Cothran, let me give you a little background. Sherry is a native West Tennessean. She was born and raised in Greenfield. She attended the University of Tennessee at Martin and then MTSU, Middle Tennessee State University. It was there that an internship led her to a job as a staff songwriter on Nashville's Music Row. She then traveled the world as a lead singer in the rock group the Evinrudes, signed with Mercury Records, and rubbed elbows with music royalty. The desire to serve led her back to her musical roots that began in her home church, and she is now an ordained minister in the United Methodist Church. Her studies have led her to discover many colorful women of the Bible, many that we don't hear much about and some we've never heard of. She shares these stories through song that inspire and uplift. Immediately following tonight's program, I hope that you will join us on Zoom for a live Q&A with Sherry. It will be lots of fun. You'll be able to ask her questions, and we'll get to hear more in-depth stories about these women that we're going to learn about tonight during the concert. The link to Zoom will be available in the comments below at the end of the program. And again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're so glad that you're here. And help me welcome to the West Tennessee Delta Heritage Center soundstage, Sherry Cothran.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining me tonight for a very special concert here at the Delta Heritage Center. And I'm so happy to be here, and thanks, Sonia, for putting this together. This is such a wonderful place, and I hope you'll come check it out. All kinds of amazing history here about the region. I am going to be sharing tonight some songs and stories from a new project that I have coming out called Wild and Holy. And it's a cycle of songs about women from the Bible that you've probably never heard of before. And these women were prophets and warriors. There's even a woman who became a king. And we're going to hear their stories. They've actually been being resurrected over the past few decades by female Bible scholars who've gone in and pulled these out. And I've kind of put these stories into my own kind of rock alternative format. So if you don't know anything about me, I'm a United Methodist minister who was once the lead singer of a rock band, and I'm kind of bringing those two worlds together in this project. And I'm also an author, and I've written a book of stories called Wild and Holy. And anytime during these broadcasts, if you want to check it out, you can check out wildandholy.org, or you can just check out my website, sherrycothran.com. I'm going to start off with a story about a woman named Huldah. Huldah was a prophet. We find her in the book of 2 Samuel, I believe, 1st or 2nd Samuel. And she is brought a scroll that's found by the King Josiah. And he doesn't take it to Jeremiah, who is probably the rock star prophet of the time. He takes it to Huldah. And Huldah is teaching at the temple gates. And that's kind of where she's stationed. And she interprets this scroll for the king. The king's trying to bring about some reform. The people have gone astray, and they're worshiping idol gods and filled the temple with all kinds of unholy things. And so she kind of brings them back into alignment with her words. And so this is her story. This is called Sing Through. Somebody hid your love away, buried in an unmarked grave, and all your life you suspected it would be resurrected someday. She makes you feel different, like a man who's done the right thing. words you can finally hear the song of your heart sing. What if the world ends tomorrow? She's got a light on you. Feels so good to be saved by someone. Oh, see through, seeing it through. Nobody plays by the rules in the politics of justice. Here you got battered by the ways of your vessel, you're corrupted. Will I wither away? She said, all those tears that you made. She said, for a better world, you've only yourself to save her. What if the world ends tomorrow? She's got a light on you. Feels so good to be saved by someone. Oh, seeing through, seeing it through. Oh, in the halls of the great reformers, purging the sins of your fathers, putting a price on religion, forgetting love. Love is free. Yeah. What if the world ends tomorrow? Did what you came to do. Finally let yourself get loved by someone. Rescue, seeing it through, seeing through. You did what you came to do. You finally let yourself get love. You finally let yourself get love. Seeing through. So that was Huldah. From Huldah, we're going to move into the genre of the women warriors. Did you know there are women warriors in the Bible? All over the world, it seems we are digging up the bones of women who were warriors in ancient culture. There's stories out in National Geographic about the Viking woman warrior that they thought was a man and it turned out to be a woman. Of course, there's the Mongolian warriors that Disney's Mulan is based off of, and they're finding now that this is actually probably based on a real woman. There's stories about Cherokee women warriors actually running throughout various historical accounts of the Revolutionary War. So we know that there are women warriors, but we didn't know that they were in the Bible. And over the past few decades, Bible scholars have been digging into the bones of Bible stories and actually discovering that these women pop up. Women who guarded the gates of the traveling sanctuary in Exodus, guarded the gates of the temple. Later on, there's the woman who guards the gates at Jesus' trial in the Gospel of John. And so we have this kind of tradition that we catch glimpses of throughout the Bible. And in Exodus, we have the women who stood at the gates of the traveling sanctuary. And their bronze mirrors were used to make this wash basin that the priests would wash their hands in. And so some scholars also think that they were warriors, that they had some kind of prophetic role as well. So anyway, ancient history is so interesting, particularly in the Bible. Well, there's a beautiful story about the warriors who are standing at the gates in Exodus 38. And of course, I wrote a song about it. And this is sort of my idea of what they were doing. At that time, of course, it's the iconic wilderness journey, the 40-year journey through the wild lands. And I imagine this sort of scene, and this is probably nothing like this, but in my imagination, this is how it came out. This is called the song The Women Warriors Sing. The wind howls in the distance of the longest night. The wolves cry from the darkness of the wild inside. She stands guard at the doorway of light. She carries a mirror fastened to her side to signal the warning or to prophesy. She looks into it to see heaven's eyes. She says love needs a carriage of bronze and gold, with angels to guard it from days of old. Oh, it's been here forever, we've just been told to make a home in the cold The next story I'm going to tell is about Deborah. You may have heard the story of Deborah. She is a prophet. She's a judge in the book of Judges. And the book of Judges, of course, gets its name because there is no monarchy. Tribes of Israel are scattered, and God appoints judges to kind of oversee tribal business. And Deborah is a judge. She is the highest authority in the community at the time in Judges chapter 4 and 5. And she actually leads a rebellion against the Canaanites. The Canaanites had been, had the Israelites in captivity for a while. And so she calls all of the tribes of Israel to come and fight this really unwinnable battle because they are poor and they have no weapons, and they're up against this formidable army that has 900 chariots of iron. And the Israelites don't have a lot of weaponry, and but some of them come, enough of them come. And some of them don't come, they kind of stay behind, and she actually puts a curse on them. That's what she does. So they do come, and they don't even really fight combat-wise. God sends this major landslide, and so the chariots are useless in the mud. This major flood comes. The story tells us that even the stars fought from heaven on Deborah's side that day. And so this is sort of my version of her story. This is called The Stars Fought from Heaven. It's not mine anymore. I gave it to the wind. Awake and cry, awake and sing again. Well, here it is. Yeah, your life is poetry. Ooh, and every time you love, you set the heart of the world free. You set the heart of the world free for you. Stars fall from heaven, but my heart was with the ones fought without weapons that came, knowing love would reign. Knowing love would reign. A war, a God, a people coming undone. Even with war in the air, a beautiful poem is spun. There's a curse on everyone. Oh, but you can break free. Yeah, I saw it in your eyes. All the ones who came believing. You're the ones who came believing. Oh, for them. Stars fall from heaven, but my heart is with the ones who fought without weapons. Deborah. Now I'm going to do Deborah's accomplice. Like every great woman warrior prophet, she has an accomplice. And her accomplice is a woman. Her name is Jael, and Jael is the one that Deborah prophesied would take the glory of this rebellious battle. And she warned the man that was going with her, you're not going to get the glory, Jael is going to get the glory. And Jael ends up slaying the leader of the Canaanite army, Sisera, who is on the run because, of course, his men have scattered and disappeared. And he finds his way into the tent of Jael. Jael is a Kenite, which meant that she was kind of in a neutral tribe. She wasn't really affiliated with the Israelites. She wasn't really affiliated with the Canaanites. And they were smiths. They were tradespeople. And so she knew how to use a hammer and a tent stake. So as Sisera wanders into her tent, she knows what's going on. And she lulls him into sleep. The story says she gives him some milk and he's exhausted, so he lays down to rest thinking that he's safe, and he's not. She takes a tent stake and a hammer and drives it through his head, and she is the victor of this rebellious battle for the freedom of the Israelites. And so it's a great story. In Judges 4 and 5, Deborah tells her story. And so, her song about it, of course, this is called Steady My Prey. a fun character. All right, so let's see. Why don't we go to The Woman King? This is a fun song. There's a story of a woman who really usurps the throne and becomes an Israelite ruler. Her name is Athaliah, and it's a really bloody scene that unfolds between the northern and the southern kingdoms of Israel at this time. And she's known as one of the traditional Israelite rulers, but her story is somewhat untold. And the narrators of the Bible do kind of treat her as wicked, but scholars have recently brought out that it isn't really clear whether she is a worshiper of God or Baal, and that she does some really positive things for the kingdom. So anyway, this is her story, helped out by a lot of scholarship. But this is the story of Athaliah. It's called Woman King. Daughter of my blood, I see you. Know that I've taught you well. But the sword is coming for me. My story will be yours to tell. So steal the blessing from the curse. Pour the poison down verse by verse. Don't ask me why I was born to be more than just a queen. When a woman owns her power, we all want an explanation for these things. But let the story speak of the woman king. The woman king. And the winners write the history. But I'm not the only one banished for her mystery, her legacy undone. Oh, but the spirit will prevail. Someday the truth will tear this unholy veil. Don't ask me why I was born to be more than just a queen. When a woman owns her power, we all want an explanation for these things. Let the story speak of the woman king. The woman king. We had 7 years of hope, 7 years of peace, 7 years of freedom. Just enough to let you see that you were way too close to the gates of heaven's kingdom. Don't ask me why I was born to be more than just a queen. When a woman owns her power, we all want an explanation for these things. Let the story Okay, that's the Woman King. Yeah, I like her. I'm trying to recall the actual text where it's from, and it's escaping. I should write these things down. But if you pick up the CD in the book, it's in the book. And it's actually on the CD too. I have that. The book is basically a book of stories called Wild and Holy Women of the Bible. And it walks you through sort of my retelling the stories, but it also takes women through a healing journey, because the stories of these women sort of became my companions during a time in my life when I was going through a lot of healing. And so I just kind of wrote about this journey and how these stories help women particularly to deal with issues that pop up from, it could be physical violence or wounds, or even just, even just having a hard life. So the book is meant to be a healing book, and I find that Bible stories, when you interact with them, when you walk around in the world of the Bible, particularly in stories we haven't heard before, that these stories have a way of re-scripting your life and giving you hope and wisdom for the journey. And so that's really the intention behind these stories and these books, is just to share how they changed my life and how I feel that they can be life-giving for others. There's a story, I think it's found in 1 Samuel, of the medium of Endor. You might have heard of her. This is a time in the Israelite history when they had their first king, King Saul, and he's trying to figure everything out and make a lot of rules. And so he decides that even though he has all of these dream interpreters and prophets and the Urim, and nobody knows what that is really, these are these sort of like diviners, right? These people that in the ancient world hear from God and they speak it out to the community. Well, he decided that another thing that was going around in the ancient world was necromancy, which is the speaking with the dead. We have like the Long Island medium today, so we don't think much about it, right? It's a really popular show. But at that time, he decided that this could not be orthodox. And so he made it punishable by death for someone to practice this. Well, the medium of Endor, it was what she did. She conjured the souls of the dead. And so she's kind of banished to the hinterlands of the story. Well, of course, you know the story of Saul and David. God chooses David to be the new king, this young upstart, and Saul's mentor Samuel goes behind his back and anoints David. And Saul loses his anointing. And he starts to go a little mad, and he can't get anyone to give him a straight answer. And so he talks to all of his dream interpreters and the Urim, and no one will give him the truth. So he says to his men, he says, go and find me the medium of Endor, because I know that she will be able to talk to Samuel. Samuel had passed on by that time. So he goes out in the dark of night with this disguise, and he goes to the medium of Endor, and she says, I can't do what you're asking me to do because it's against the law. And he says, well, I am the law, basically. And so she invites him in. She conjures this soul of Samuel. Samuel comes up, and he's angry because he's been, brought up from the afterlife. He says, you woke me up, So anyway, storytellers are having, I think, a little fun with the story in the Bible. But anyway, so Samuel says to Saul, you're right, you're going down, David's coming up, and you're going to die in battle the next day, by the way. So Saul is in total shock, and the medium of Endor, she cooks him a royal meal. She has him lie down and shows him this abundant kindness. And so that's basically the story, is that God's kindness comes from really unexpected places at times. And even though we sometimes try to banish it to the edges of our own story, it still finds us. And so this is her story. This is called Virgin Mirror. And the reason I use this title, Virgin Mirror, it's from a poem by Elizabeth Bishop called The Riverman. And you can look up that poem. It's amazing. Man goes searching for a pure mirror that he can shine up in the Spirit's eyes so he can identify the divine, but he never finds one. So I named the song after that poem. It's called Virgin Mirror. They all come to me in the end. Powerful men, though they are kings, they cannot summon the truth. It's in the wind. Yeah, the truth is in the wind. I see the dead, not the living, woven in the living man's eyes. Thought I recognized a friend, scared to live, afraid to die, scared to live. He was broken. Could see he was broken. Like a virgin mirror, a virgin mirror, he once held to his heart, it broke against his heart. Like the strains, the once soothing strains of David's heart. The strings of David's heart, all broken. We come together in the end, disenfranchised in the powerful men, and wonder why God's blessing chose others to befriend. I guess the truth is in the wind. All you can do is gather your strength, yeah, and hold your head up high. Let me take care All right. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, and thank you to the Delta Heritage Center and Tina Turner Museum. Tina Turner looking over my shoulder tonight, and it's just been such a joy to be here, and would love to see some of you and meet you and see your faces. And so Sonia has been so gracious to provide a Zoom link, and she's going to put it in the comments, and we're going to do a live Q&A immediately following this concert. So just go click on that Zoom link if you want to come and just sit and chat for a little while. We can talk about these women, we can talk about the book, anything. We'd just love to get to know some of you. So check that out in the comments link, Zoom link, and we'll do a live Q&A. Also, if you do want to pick up the book, you can pre-order it today, April 12th. You can go on to wildandholy.org, and go ahead and pre-order the book. And for pre-ordering, you get a free copy of my CD, or you can get free MP3 downloads, whichever you prefer. So check that out, and we'll talk some more later on after the concert, I hope. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. My name is Sherry Cothran. Title of my book and CD is Wild and Holy. And I'm going to play you a song about a woman chasing her lover through the streets in the Bible. This is from the Song of Songs, beautiful book. This is called 10,000 Charms. I will rise and wander the streets, looking for the one my soul loves. Have you seen him, dark as a raven, with eyes as soft as doves, with eyes as soft as doves? Let me kiss the kiss of his smile till the shadows flee. Winter's over, the rain is gone. Now is the time to sing. Now is the time to sing. There are 10,000 charms, 10,000 charms. Oh, wave, north wind, and come, blow upon my garden sweet. Let its fragrance reach my dear one. Just let him come and deeply dream. Let him come and deeply dream. Holy is there are 10,000 charms, 10,000 charms, 10,000 charms. Oh,
so much for tuning in tonight. I know that you've enjoyed Sherry's stories and listening to the wonderful songs she's written about these incredible women of the Bible. And I know you're going to want one of her books, Wild and Holy Women of the Bible. We have a special offer for you just for being a part of this program tonight. If you'll go to wildandholy.org, for every book purchased, you will receive a free CD or MP3 download of the original songs that you've heard here tonight, plus more. Now, we hope that you will join us over on Zoom for a live Q&A with Sherry. You'll find the link in the comments below, and we look forward to seeing you there. Again, thanks for joining us tonight. See you on Zoom.